Welcome to Public Forum, a community outreach program produced at North Idaho College on the shores of Lake Coeur d'Alene. Featuring guests from around the globe addressing a wide variety of subjects, Public Forum serves to educate and enlighten. Please join host and moderator, political scientist Tony Stewart, in welcoming today's guest.
I am pleased to welcome you back to the second week of our two-week series addressing figure skating. Last week I made the comment that after 31 years of doing this program, we yet have found another subject that we had not covered in all that time, and we had a great time with our guests last week, and they're gracious to be back with us again this week. I first of all welcome to the program the coach of our two figure skaters. She is a professional, has been a professional skater. She was 9 times champion in her country of Switzerland, and she is now a coach and certainly has the great credentials. Welcome to the program, Corrine Kunsel Watson. Welcome back, and I want to congratulate you again for being such a great champion and also spending time to help young people with this great sport. And I'm pleased to welcome back our two skaters from last week, Kelly Budvarson, who is from Coeur d'Alene. She's Lake City High School here in Coeur d'Alene, a junior, and is progressing very rapidly, and her partner in figure skating, Chris Andrews, who's a senior at Lake City High School and a dual enrollment student at North Idaho College. Welcome back. We're anxious to talk about more things of what you do, and we have some more footage to show on our program. And as always, I'm pleased to have Janelle Burke, who is our regular panelist and attorney, and she will commence today's questioning.
Last week's program was very fascinating. We talked a lot about how people who are going to be skaters prepare and what age you were when you started, and something about coaching, what goes into making a coach. But this week we want to talk a little bit about how you go to competitions. Most of us know that skating is a great sport. It's a beautiful sport, and that there are competitions involved, and those competitions are individual or pair competitions for the most part, I believe. So I'm going to start with Chris and say, what do you do when you want to enter a competition? Now, you've gotten to a certain stage, and I suppose your coach has said to you, it wouldn't hurt for you to be in a competition, see how you can do. What do you do to begin that preparation?
Well, to prepare for competitions, it's a lot of mental and physical work. You have to have your program down, pretty much pat, and it takes a lot of physical preparedness, having the conditioning, and also the mental issues, dealing with the nerves as you're getting down to that last week, thinking, am I going to be able to pull this off? Just dealing with the nerves takes a lot of effort. So.
That's one of the things that you do. Now, Kaylee, do you choose your program first and then enter the competition, or do you sign up for a competition and then try to select the program to match the competition?
Well, before you even think about competitions, you make a program. You find the music, get choreographs put together, and then you select which competitions you want to go to for that year. And when it's coming up to competition season, about 2 months before, you start going through programs slowly, and then you get more progressive, and then pretty soon you're doing them every day, sometimes twice a day, 3 days. Just depends on what you need to go over and fix in the program, and then you're ready for the competition by the time it comes. So it's all a matter of planning before.
Now, a question for your coach, Corinne. When you are going to have students who are going to enter competitions, I assume that you probably help them with knowing which competitions to enter and so forth. How do you get a list of competitions all throughout the United States that are being done, and what the qualifications are for each one of those competitions?
Yes, that's what we do. A lot of the times we know of competitions because they have a good reputation. We know that a lot of good skaters are going there. And it's important for the competitions that we choose, because we don't have unlimited funds, that we choose competitions where they actually see the real competition. Just to go to win because the competition is poor is no good. So we want to go to competitions where we see other skaters that usually don't come in our area, which means we have to travel a little bit further. When you go to a competition, there are several different levels at the same competition, held at the same 2, 3, 4 days, however long that competition is going to take. Programs are, like Kaylee said, they're well prepared way ahead of time, and there's very few things that are left up to chance. There's a few little competition areas where each individual organizing committee can say, okay, we want you to perform this, this, or the other, and then you can choose whether to participate in that or not. But the programs are set, and you go with a well-finished, well-programmed competition program to a competition.
Is there usually just one program that you do at a competition, or do you do different different programs, a short program, a long program? I hear them talking about that on television, a short program, a long program. What do they mean?
You're absolutely right. The short program has a exact amount of elements that they have to perform. Everybody
In
at
other words,
that
splits,
same
splits and turns and whatever.
right, exactly. Everybody at that same level in that same category has to perform the same elements. The reason why it's called short program, it's usually time-wise shorter than the long program. And the long program, you have more freedom. You get to show pretty much anything you want to do. So that's the difference between a short and a long program. At their level, yes, they have to perform at least 2. And since they do individual skating and pair skating, they go to a competition with at least 4 programs, and possibly more depending to what else they want to enter.
The whole thing is just so fascinating. And I want to follow up on Janelle's question about judging. Certainly, since you were a 9-time champion from your country, you certainly know what is involved. When you indicated on the short and the long performance, and they have to do certain things, the judges have to be such experts. But give us a little idea of if 2 different competing pairs are just so good, what is the difference that the judge makes the decision on when they both seemed almost to perform with perfection?
Well, we had a situation like that at the last Olympics with the Canadian pair team and the Russian pair team, and it was a very tough decision. As we found out later, 4 judges decided for the Canadian pair and 4 for the Russian pair, and one unfortunately was undecided and then kind of got into trouble that way. But every judge has pet peeves, and the one that does the least of irritating the judge's pet peeves, that's the one that wins. At that level, it is so hard because they're all really, really good, and it can come down to just the preference of the music or the preference of, well, they were a little bit faster, or maybe they did a program that they did last year, and I wish they would have done a new program. It has many different, it's almost to the taste of the judge.
And even the costumes, I would imagine,
Absolutely.
could come into
Yeah.
play. In diving, for example, there's levels of
Right.
difficulty, and a participant might find and choose to do a much more difficult performance, but also might lose because it's so hard to carry out. When you have the long performance you're talking about, and you have more freedom, do some win on the fact that they do within their program, they do something that's such more difficult and perform it well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of the times you see even the best skaters fall. It's because they take incredible risks. If something is good enough to at least be performed 75% of the times in a program in practice, you can evaluate the risk whether you want to do it in competition. Sometimes if you skate before your biggest competition, then you go for it and you say, I have to try it, I have to put it in there, because if he or she does it, they'll beat me. And if they don't succeed, then the second skater has the advantage, because maybe they don't have to go for everything. Maybe they just go for a little bit easier program, but do it clean, and that will push them over the edge.
So even the order in which you skate is going to be very important, because you can still make a decision of what all
Absolutely.
you will include in your
Absolutely.
in your program.
Obviously, if you skate later, then it's further removed from your warm-up, which makes it harder in that aspect. But it does give you an advantage of knowing how the previous skater skated and possibly make a decision on that.
Thank you. Now back to our students that we introduced earlier, and from your coach, who's very professional, you're advancing very fast. Congratulations. You started a little bit late for this particular sport, but you're really moving along. Tell us about your routines and what level of difficulty are you just saying? We're doing this program in February, but it's going to air quite a bit later because we do them in advance. I believe you're headed to Arizona. Is that correct? Tell us a little about that competition and Have you decided yet on your programs or what level of difficulty you may decide to choose when you get there?
Yeah. Me, for my freestyle, I've decided to skate at the intermediate level, and I've already set my goals for which jumps I want in there. I have many double jumps, and I'm going to do my triple sow and possibly my double axel if it's 75% of the time.
By the time you go, if you're doing it at that level.
In April. So I have time to keep on practicing that and working and to get confidence that I can really do this program. And then short program, I did it last year, and so I'm really confident about that. It's set in stone. I'm excited to do that one.
You've got that one down.
Oh, yes. Yes.
How about you, Chris?
Well, for the Arizona competition, I'll be skating at the novice level. It's one up from intermediate, and I have my short program pretty much done. I've got one triple jump and a double axel that I'm going to attempt. So hoping that goes well. My long program I still need a little bit of work on, but I know pretty much what I want in there. And for pairs, we have both of our programs so far, and we're going for more of a clean program. So there is some difficulty in there, but we're going for stuff that we can do well. So
And at this competition, will there be figure skaters from all over the United States?
Yeah, I do believe there will be. So it'll be a big competition.
And as coach, are you always able to go with them on these?
I try to make it a point, yes, because they're not the only ones going. There's going to be other skaters from the club going. It becomes a necessity almost.
They need you there.
Right. Well, they practice so hard, and sometimes in the last minute, just from the nerves or just being at a different rink or really, really wanting it, they force it a little bit, and the coach can still calm it down or tell them, look, I wouldn't do that. Take this out, move this over there, and just keep a perspective of what the competition is.
It's like a baseball game or a football game. You want the coach there.
Yeah, it kind of helps.
There's a critical component. I'm going to ask our wonderful staff to put up some footage we have, and when it comes up, I want to ask the coach, Corinne, if you will talk about what's going on here in this process.
Okay.
It's about, I think, a minute and a half, so I do want our viewers to see, again, our young skaters here and what they're doing. If they'll just put that up at this time. Can you tell us?
Yeah, we just saw the end of a lift, the landing of a lift, and basically here what we're just looking at, both of them are doing individual footwork, but they have to try to do it as close as possible and at the same time, so that the synchronicity of a pair.
On that turn, I think they're both their feet landed exactly at the same time.
Right. They both did a single jump that was pretty much together at the same time, and pair moves. We have a series of footwork coming up, and of course it's important that both of them doing the same thing at the same time.
It really is in sync there together.
Right.
But there's been a lot of practice to get to that point.
Well, just to perform it, yes, and then to perform it together is a little extra.
But as we said earlier, it's both a physical sport, but it's also great artwork. It's very artistic. And as we'd said on the first program of the day, they spend many hours physically preparing to be able to endure. And Chris has to particularly have the strength to lift his partner.
Right.
That's a beautiful move there.
That's called a spiral, and the point is to have the free leg as high up as possible. A lot of the time the girl can get her leg up quite high, but the boy kind of doesn't look so good. So it's really the key that the girl and the boy are looking the same.
Thank you so much. It is just such a great sport. I'm always thinking about the viewers. And so if you'd be so kind, if we have some young people out there that are, and again, I want to talk a bit about age, that at 14 or 15, you're already getting older if you're not up in the top rank. And so some of the parents that have younger children that might want to get them started, how do they get in touch with you? Is there a phone number, some way we...
yes, the best way to do is to call Planet Ice.
Planet Ice.
Planet Ice is the ice rink in the valley, and I'd be glad to give them a telephone number.
Yeah,
509-893-6900. 0101.
And I put that down, and if there's a parent or a young person that needs
Right.
a pencil and a pen, we'll do it again before we go off the air.
Right. The best way is to go with a Learn to Skate program. It gives them an opportunity to go out there 6 times. They get a class environment lesson and see if they like it.
Sure.
A lot of young kids see this sport on TV and says, oh, I want to do this. And the kids that are performing, they make it look easy. Unfortunately, that's a fake. Right from the first lesson, we teach them to put their head up and not look at their feet and not look scared. And it continues all the way through. Part of making it look easy is part of the charm of figure skating. But you talk to any figure skater and they know it's not easy. And it hurts because you fall on a hard surface. And a lot of kids, you know, after they fall a few times, they get discouraged because this is, well, it looked so easy on TV. How come
It's not as
it
much
hurts?
fun.
And it's, you know, it's not so much fun.
I was, for some years, along with my work here at the college, I was also a collegiate tennis coach, and we've competed nationally. And other people would watch our team that was very good, and they'd say, oh, I think I've gotten, this looks so easy. And they would get out there, and some of them in total frustration says, I don't want this sport. You know,
Right.
every ball they hit was over the fence. And,
Right.
and there's an art there, too. And
Absolutely.
and positions and control and how you can control the ball. So I understand what you're saying. With that, we'll turn back to Janelle.
My next round of questions has to do with when you go to the competition itself. Let's say the competition in Arizona that you're going to go to. Chris, how many people do you expect will be in your classes that you'll be competing against, roughly?
I think
dozen?
For singles, yeah, it'll be probably about a dozen other men that I have to compete against. So, and that's a fairly good size for a guy's competition.
And then what about with the pairs? Will there be about that many too?
No, with pairs, there's not as many pairs teams in the nation, sadly. I wish there were, but there'll probably be about 4 or 5, I'm hoping. So.
And the fewer there are, of course, the more you might get points toward. Do you collect points toward some kind of at the end of the year?
No.
Or it's just individual competitions each
It's just
time?
individual competitions. So.
You get to bring home that trophy and put it on your shelf.
Yeah.
And Kaylee, how about how long do you stay at a competition? How long does a competition take? Is it a weekend affair, or is it something where you have to be gone about 4 days? You have to be there a little in advance so you can get used to the ice there or the climate or the what about that?
Usually, well, if there's a competition, say in Vancouver, Washington, we usually leave the night before, drive there, stay the night, and then wake up, get used to the ice, and compete that day. But if you're going somewhere like Arizona, Colorado, California, you usually go at least 2 days in advance, so you can get there, get used to the environment, the weather, skate on the ice, meet people, and so you're ready to compete in that type of environment.
Now, in terms of, for the coach, your question, in terms of who gets to go to a competition, is there such a thing as a sort of a juried show, what we would call a juried show? That is, people are selected, they send in a tape in advance, and then they're selected. How do they get selected to go to a particular competition? Or is it just you pay your money and you get into the competition?
Pretty much at this level, yes. At this level, these are non-qualifying competitions, which means that basically if you win it, you just get a pat on your back and maybe a trophy or a medal, but it doesn't lead to anything further. On these, you basically sign up to go to the competition. It is to the coach's discretion of saying, okay, you should go to this competition, or I don't think you're prepared. Sometimes the parents are saying, well, we really can't afford the money, so let's save for another competition and go then. Choices obviously have to be made, but you can only compete at the level where you have been tested. So before you even get to go to a competition, you have to perform programs and moves in front of judges that will test you whether you have that standard to perform at that level nationally. So you don't expect anybody that is going to do quads in Chris's group. On the other side, you don't expect anybody that can barely skate. These 12 men that are going to compete, or these 4 or 5 pairs that are going to compete, they all have passed the same level testing, and so you can be sure that they're pretty much competitive.
In the correct category.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, you mentioned, though, qualifying competitions. And so what do you mean by qualifying or non-qualifying competition?
In the year, there are several non-qualifying competitions. As a matter of fact, that you could go every weekend to a competition if you wanted to. There's only one qualifying competition, and that is in the beginning of October. That one leads, if you're in the first 4 at your particular level, it leads to a higher level competition, which means it's called a sectional competition, which the whole section of the United States are then the best 4 out of every region are competing against each other. From there you go, again, only the first 4, they go to nationals. And at the national level, that's where it really becomes important. That's where the selection is being done, who represents the United States on an international basis and on a senior level, world and Olympic competitions.
In addition to having that great honor to go to the Olympics, there are other international, since that's only every 4 years,
Right.
there are other international contests throughout the other 3 years or that even that year.
Absolutely.
But if you're victorious at a lot of those international competitions, and you still would have to be within a winner in your nation.
Right.
Do they take, what, 1, 2, or 3? How many get to
It
go?
depends how well the country as an overall country has placed at the previous World Championships. So if you are in the first 5, you have the right to send more people.
Okay.
If the second person is in the first 10, you get to have another person. 3 is the max. So no country can have more than 3 skaters at an Olympic game. And even there, unfortunately, not every national champion can go to the Olympics. The Olympic Committee is putting on strict rules of the level of the skater before they even send them to the Olympics. And even then, there's qualifying competition before the Olympics even start at the Olympic venue to only show the best ones at the end.
So when you say a country can send no more than 3 skaters, but can they also send up to possible 3 pairs?
Right, yeah, 3 individual per, for the men, for the pairs, for the dance, and for the ladies.
Now for those who, like myself, have not had a thorough background in this area, this is very much like gymnastics. You age quickly.
Yes.
Tell us the ideal age to start and about the age that one would arrive at the level of national championship or the Olympics. In other words, what is the prime time for performing?
The consensus is the younger the better. I'm not totally sure of that. Fortunately, the World Championships and the Olympics are now showing that athletes, even at an advanced age of in their late 20s, can still perform at an extremely high level. On the other side, you have bursts of energy like the American ladies. They're all very, very young. Michelle Kwan is a senior 7 times over at 21. It's amazing, but other country, they don't even show up until they're 21. Never mind, they're way at the end of the list of skaters. And sometimes it just takes the dedication. Some people are late bloomers. They don't get it until they're 13 or 14. So everything before that was just, I don't know, I like the sport, but I skate for my mommy or for my daddy. And that doesn't give any champions either. So they have to want it themselves, and it's individual. It's a totally individual thing.
Thank you. Before we go back to Janelle, I just want once again to say to our viewers that if they want to contact you and this program, and young people have a lot of different interests, and it's very important for them to have interests.
Right.
And you're in the Spokane Valley at Planet Ice.
Right.
And the telephone number is 509-893-0101.
Right.
Thank
Correct.
you. Janelle?
Well, I'm going to ask a question that is sort of easy for you to answer. I'll start with Kaylee and ask her, what is the most difficult thing for you to do that you're trying to conquer right now? What's the move that gives you the most trouble?
I would say the double axel.
And that's what you're really practicing on. Can you describe a double axel for our viewers?
You take off from forward over your left toe pick if you're a righty skater. So that means you turn counterclockwise. And it's a jump for a single, it's a turn and a half because you take off forward and you land backwards. But I'm working on the double, so it's 2.5 turns. And It's just a matter of me mentally doing it.
So it's kind of turning backwards from what you would normally turn. If you were turning the other way, it would be easier.
No, I turn counterclockwise the whole way. You just take off from forwards.
Okay,
the
that's
only
what
jump.
the problem is. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's what you're practicing on. Same question for Chris.
For me, it would be the same. It's the double axel. It's, I don't know, my triple jumps, I can get around most of the time. My double axel, sometimes, I guess it's a mental block. It just seems different being a forward takeoff, and it'll come though.
Now, as a coach, I know that you deal with a lot of students who are going to be performing. And how do you mentally prepare them so that they feel comfortable?
Again, it's individual. Some need to be pushed until the very end because they seem to be backing off on their own too much. And some others, they need to be calmed down and says, hey, look, keep it in perspective. It's just a competition. It's not your life. And some others, they just, float along and just do that in stride and have no problem. It's very individual. And it may change as they grow older or as the difficulties in the programs become more challenging. They may have floated through all these competitions before, and now there's some challenges in the program, and they just freak out, so to speak. They just totally lose it.
And another question for Chris, do you get tired of doing the same thing all the time in your program?
No, I love my program. I think it's so much fun. But I do get tired sometimes of working for a jump or for a spin, and to the point where I have it perfect. Sometimes it gets a little irritating, I can't do this, why not? And it's a matter of keep on doing it, and eventually, once it gets to the point where it's good, I love doing it.
On that note, I have to bring the program conclusion. Janelle, the clock wins, as you always know. On behalf of Janelle Burke and our staff, we thank all three of you for being here for 2 weeks. We wish you great luck in your competition, and we congratulate our coach again for all those national championships and all the work you're doing with young people, because I think not only is it a wonderful sport, but it also teaches discipline in other parts of life. And so congratulations. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you'll be with us again next week at the same time. We'll move to yet another issue. Until then, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart.
Recorded on the campus of North Idaho College, Public Forum is the longest-running in-house college production on PBS. Each episode is pre-recorded live and is an educational outreach from North Idaho College. Please join us at this same time next week for another edition of Public Forum on this public television station.